Some stories don't start with a rebellion. They start with a quiet, persistent longing. A longing for independence, for adventure, for a life that feels like it's truly your own. And that's exactly where this story begins. With a younger son whose heart was pulling him away from the familiar comforts of home. He wanted something more than the predictable rhythm of his family's life. So, one day, he made a bold request. He asked his father for his inheritance, right then and there. It was a shocking thing to ask, essentially saying he wished his father was already gone. But his father, with a wisdom that's hard to understand, gave it to him. No lecture, no fight, just the freedom to make his own way. With his pockets full and his heart full of dreams, the son packed his bags and left. He chased a life he believed would finally make him feel whole, a life of excitement and glamour in a distant city. At first, it was everything he imagined. The freedom was intoxicating, the lights were bright, the new faces were endless, and the money felt like it would never run out. He was the center of attention, living a life that most people only dream of. But that kind of life has a price, and it doesn't last. When the money disappeared, so did the so-called friends. The parties ended, the music stopped, and when the noise finally faded, all that was left was a deafening silence. In that silence, he was forced to confront the person he had become. He'd traveled so far trying to find himself, only to realize he was more lost than ever. He no longer recognized the man in the mirror. He had traded his identity for a fleeting feeling of importance. Broke, alone, and stripped of his dignity, he hit rock bottom. He took the only job he could find, feeding pigs for a local farmer. It was a humbling, dirty, and lonely existence. And it was there, in the mud and the filth, surrounded by animals, that something inside him finally shifted. It wasn't anger or self-pity that washed over him. It was a moment of profound clarity. He remembered home. Not just the physical place, but the feeling of ether, love, the safety, the unwavering sense of belonging he had so carelessly thrown away. He thought about the hired servants in his father's house, who had more than enough to eat while he was starving, and in that moment of desperation, he made a decision. "I will go back," he said to himself. "I'm not worthy to be called a son anymore, but maybe my father will let me work as one of his servants." The journey home is often the hardest part, especially when you're weighed down by shame and regret. He spent the long walk back rehearsing his apology, preparing himself for the disappointment and rejection he was sure he deserved. But what happened next is the part of the story that changes everything. While he was still a long way off, a speck on the horizon, his father saw him. And his father did something incredible. He ran, he didn't wait, he didn't hesitate. He ran towards his broken, lost son. Not with a look of judgment, not with a list of questions, but with a face full of relief and with arms wide open. The son started his prepared speech, trying to confess how wrong he'd been, but his father wouldn't even let him finish. Those words of failure were not going to define his return. Instead, the father called for the best robe, a symbol of honor. He placed a ring on his son's finger, a sign of restored authority and identity, and he ordered a massive feast to celebrate. This wasn't just a welcome home, it was a declaration. It was about grace that doesn't keep score. It was a powerful reminder that true identity isn't something you earn or achieve. It's something that is given. This story isn't just about a son coming home. It's about the profound truth that no matter how far you run, no matter how lost you feel, there is a love that is strong enough to find you and welcome you back. It's a story about the possibility of rebuilding after failure, and the beautiful realization that sometimes The journey back to yourself begins with a single, hopeful step toward the light you thought you had lost forever. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one.